I have got a PhD in life. I'm spending my whole weekend in my pajamas and I'm not doing shit. You don't pay my bills or suck my dick. So like, what do I care what some random person on the internet thinks of me? And new year, new me, you gotta have some fun. God, Tim, everything you touch just like is amazing. And I want to tell that person, no the fuck it's not. I'm only trying to make one fucking person happy, and that's Tim Castleman. What up, everybody? Welcome to sunny, sort of rainy, not sure what the hell it's doing, London, England, not London, Texas. It's your friend, Tim Castleman, back with another episode of Tim Talks, live to us, live to tape, as Kurt Minahan would say, here in jolly old England, or maybe not jolly old England. I think before we get in the event last night, we need to talk about, the event today, we need to talk about the events of last night. Because last time we left you, dear listener, we were contemplating if we were going to go out for the night because it was an event that we were going to, that was hosting the party and all that stuff. Well, we decided not to do that. Instead, we decided to walk down where we're staying. It has a bunch of awesome little restaurants around it. And we decided to go to one. I can't even remember the name of it.
I don't remember the name of it either.
Sorry. Well, that's good. It's probably good. Prevents any legal actions that we need to be worried about, right? But we went to it, had an amazing meal. We got ribeye steaks. Which
quite
were
thin.
London.
They were like a quarter of an inch tall, but it's still tasty.
Apparently, they don't put the chemicals and the growth hormones in the cattle over here like they do in America. Yeah, I mean, this would be like skirt steak, I think, to most people in the U.S. as far as how thin it was. Yeah, this is something you would expect on a Vegas $8.99 menu type thing. Yeah, or a buffet where they're like advertising ribeye steaks. And like, what we do is we cut them in half, and then it's like, oh shit. So regardless of that, it was absolutely delicious.
It was quite tasty.
Yes.
I will say, yes.
And
cooked to perfection, I might add.
Yes, yeah. But, and that's the other thing is they were like, well, we recommend medium. And I'm like, well, you guys have had Mad Cow over here. So I just want to make sure that whatever that was, doesn't transfer up into my brain and cause any permanent damage because I wanted to get the fancy steak.
Yeah, I couldn't in right mind do a medium. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to chance it. Yeah. Disease and all.
We said, let's do a medium or a medium rare plus.
That was our.
And they cooked it amazingly well. It was very good. Fries as a side, which is weird, to be like, would you like a ribeye and fries? It's like, sure, are we making a sandwich? But here in America, I guess that's what they get instead of like mashed potatoes, baked potatoes,
apparently
stuff like that. You had a great thing of Cabernet, which
it was
awesome.
Wonderful. Yes.
And then we decided to order dessert. But before we had dessert, we had I don't even know how to phrase this. I got my dessert before. I got two desserts last night. So the first dessert that I got last night is while we're having dinner, and this is a beautiful restaurant. I want to stress it.
It's very nice.
End.
Yes.
Apparently on the weekends it gets absolutely busy, and after 9 o'clock, I think the gentleman said, it basically turns into a nightclub.
Yes.
They have a DJ there, and that's very common. I've seen several places here where it's like at some point live music is going to be played from a DJ and all that. And that's the only reason I can justify the incompetence of the bartender at this restaurant. I kind of want to find out now just to be like this motherfucker, but I don't want to be sued. And I know how cowardice people in the UK, specifically the country of Ireland, are when they get their feelings hurt by words of the...
You got to be careful, Tim.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to get sued by some pussy again, right? So this guy was apparently practicing his three-point jumper the whole night because multiple times you just heard what sounded like a tray of glasses falling, And,
I thought it was by accident.
Yeah, and that's happened. Someone drops a glass, whoopsie. Someone drops a plate, whoopsie-doo. But it doesn't sound like there's a fucking shotgun going off every 3 to 5 minutes with this guy. And after about shotgun blast number 3, I politely look over to him. By the way, I think there's 6 people in the restaurant by the time we're eating. That's how late we're eating, how exclusive. And I just say to him in my most American way possible, what the fuck, man? And he looks at me and doesn't say anything and then goes back to his duties. But you noticed got real quiet after that. No more crashing down glass. And I think what he was doing was either emptying bottles. I don't know what the fuck the guy was doing, but
it was loud.
He had an earpiece in, which may have, not made him hear how loud he was being. But I mean, and also if he's used to working in a nightclub environment where the music's playing and stuff, I'm trying to give him all the benefits of the doubt and not say that this guy was fucking TikToked, right? This guy, so super annoying, and probably the first time that I've ever just like, I don't even want to say snap, because it wasn't snapped. It was just like, hey, can you pay attention to what the fuck you're doing? Again, I'm not eating. I didn't order out of a clown's head. This isn't a steak shack. This isn't somewhere.
It was a nice restaurant. You want to have a nice meal. And
I mean, it was over $100 US for the meal between the two of us. We didn't go crazy or anything. Right. So it's like, again, this wasn't like Gordon Ramsay's pizza.
Right.
Or
where you would expect a noise level.
Or the darts place we went to today where the environment dictates the decibel level. Right. And I have a thing of noises in general. Again, I love silence. I hate people that leave their phones on and then have all the notifications on.
Oh, that drives me crazy.
So it sounds like it's a fucking jackpot machine going. It's like, hey, do you have a slot machine in your pocket? Or could you possibly mute your 900 notifications from every social media platform or wherever the fuck they come from?
I totally agree.
Yes. So to calm us down, we said we must have dessert, right? And they had an ice cream sandwich. And you could pick from 3. Now, you tell me, dear listener, which of the 3 would you pick? You could pick the vegan one, you could pick the malty one, or you could pick the gay one. Now, the vegan one, he was like, it's made out of a vegan cracker and vegan ice cream, vanilla bean. It's not that good. Malty apparently is a cereal over here. And he was like, yeah, it's kind of like a cereal thing. And he said the gay one has vanilla ice cream, caramel ice cream, chocolate, and like a graham cracker type crust. And we're like, I think we're going to go with the gay one. Yes.
The gay one wins.
Yeah. Yep. Now, that's what I had for dessert. What did you have for dessert, sir?
I just had more wine. Of course. Yeah. Of course, more wine.
Yeah. She was like, you know what? I'm drinking my dessert tonight. And I was like, you go, soul sister. You go. Did we also have to stop at a convenience store on the way home to pick up 2 more bottles of mini wine?
Mini wines.
For the
I love the mini wines.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, we did.
They're so cute.
They are. Yes. And so affordable here in London. Yeah. I realized, by the way, when we got here, someone said, for every $1 US, it's 77 cents to the British pound. I think, in fact, it is for every $1 of the British pound, it's 77 cents US because we thought we were getting a 30% discount. Turns out we're getting a 30% bump. Yeah. How lucky are we?
Super lucky. I will note that the name of your dessert is called Happy Endings.
Yes, thank you. So it was called. Yeah, it was Happy Endings.
So are you happy, Tim?
Bars.
Was it a happy ending for you?
I was super happy that I got to yell at someone for being a complete and total jackass. And the dessert was absolutely delicious.
It was delicious.
It lived up to the hype. And again, you're expecting proud American here, proud wearer of the New Balances, trying to bring these across the world and show them the culture. Today, I made a gentleman at a hotel, a very nice hotel that's like feet from Buckingham Palace, open the door because he is he's the door opener.
He is the door opener.
Yeah, I don't know. You fancy people
friendly.
in big cities, this guy literally, that's all he does all day, every day. Open the door. Good day, madam. Good day, sir. I made him open the door for my New Balance shoe, not me, just the shoe, put it up there, took a photo. That's the type of vibe that we're running with at this moment. So we had a great meal. We leave, and as we leave, the bartender, the one that I admonished, comes over, shakes my hand, apologizes, says, sir, you were dead right. I was dead wrong. I apologize. I will do better in the future so that I don't come across so TikToked. Of course not.
Yeah, you wish.
He mumbled something underneath his breath, which I let go because I'm dead. And I was like, well, I don't know. And then as we got closer to the door, he got louder and louder with mixing the drink. And he had a big spoon and he was intentionally clinking it on the glass.
Yes, he was not pleased. When you said that, he shot you the worst look.
Yeah, he shot a look like I was getting ready to be like, well, I'm gonna have to bring some American ass kicking to these foreigners, right? And there was a moment when this was happening, and I knew exactly what was happening. I went to the door, and I thought it was locked, and I looked over because I was going to ask the gentleman, hey, is it locked? And that guy was looking at me, being the bartender. And there was a moment where I thought, you know what? I'm going to jail tonight. I'm going to just go ahead and lock this door like they do. I forget what the mobster movie is, but the biker gang comes in and they just, we just want a couple drinks. And he's like, you're not going to cause a scene, right? And they're like, no. And of course the biker, he's like, all right, well, if you, if you don't behave, you got to leave. Right. So, of course, the biker gang causes a scene and they're like, hey, you need to leave. And they're like, no, we're not going to leave. So he just goes over to the door, locks the door, and he goes, well, now you can't leave. And then the boys from the back come out and beat the absolute shit out of these guys.
What was that movie? Oh, it's going to bug me now.
Goodfellas. It wasn't Godfather. It wasn't Scarface. It was A Bronx Tale.
I was going to say Bronx Tale.
Bam. I think it is A Bronx Tale.
That was such a good movie.
We almost had a now you can't leave moment in this random restaurant because I was like, okay, I know what you're doing, right? And I could have been a Karen. I could have gone back today and got him fired from his pathetic fucking job, and being such a dickhead. I could have gone online, left a negative review. We know how well that's worked out in the past for me. So we just went on about our day. And I've only been thinking about it every hour on the hour for 24 hours. So I feel like in this whole exchange, I've won, of course. I feel
Clearly.
like I've won. He hasn't.
Well, the customer's always right.
Well, no,
You're the customer.
it's just ridiculous. And again, it's like, hey, man, pay attention to the environment. This wasn't closing time. It's like, again, this is a nice place to eat.
I know. Well, it's funny because I was thinking to myself, and I don't know if that was like a gauge or he really had something in his ear or what, because I was thinking, does this guy have a hearing problem? Maybe he can't hear it. But as soon as you said something, he right away looked at you.
He heard me perfectly.
Perfectly. Yeah. So then I was like, okay, he knows what he's doing because.
Yeah. And it's like, dude, I get it. Maybe you're having a bad day. Take that out on somebody else. Yeah. Don't take it out on us. And don't make us listen to you fucking making trash compactor noises in real time. It's just, you just want to look at him and go, are you fucking stupid? Like, what is, tell me your thought process right now. So you're just doing the Jordan jump. I mean, he wasn't, but again, and again, it wasn't like, we dropped a glass in the back and you could hear it. I mean, this was like less than 20 feet away from us.
Slamming dishes around.
Yeah, and it was like someone that was like, and you get a broken glass, and you get a broken glass. So if that guy ever hears this, fuck you. And, I hope you have minimum wage jobs the rest of your life and you suck. And there you go. So despite all that, we did get our wine on the way home, came back. I went to sleep. Sue's still struggling with the jet lag.
Still having a tough time.
Yeah, me, not so much. And I just want to tell you as an aside, spoiler alert, we finally, after Saturday, Sunday, Monday, now today, Tuesday, 4 days into our 6-day stay, we finally have a working
shower. Oh, so excited about the shower.
To be clear, we have an overhead shower that finally works. We had a wand that worked since day one. But the problem is anytime you took a shower, and especially even if you didn't, once you started taking that shower, cold water would emanate from the top and it would drip down as if it was a torture chamber. So as I told Kevin Rogers the other day, I've been taking cold showers now for the last 4 days.
Yes.
And you're having a nice lukewarm shower because, by the way, the temperature gauge didn't work to where you could turn it up.
It was not that hot.
So it was like Luke-ish warm. And I'm like, well, okay, maybe it's like the fridge here the fridge doesn't really cool and the water doesn't get warm. We're a land of middles here in the UK, right? We don't raise our voice when we're out eating, apparently, to yell at the wait staff for being idiots. We enjoy our water not too hot and we enjoy our drinks not too cold.
Yeah.
Unless you're paying $30
like We're in the land of Goldilocks.
Yeah.
Just
right. Yeah, unless you're paying $30 for a drink, at Rubens, where the event is going on.
Yes.
Yeah. Then it's plenty cold, made to your liking, all the ice that you want. But apparently that hasn't crossed the pond, literally here, the river, to our hotel. But all is well. We got that done and headed in today for day 2 of the IM Summit. My buddy Justin Sardi was talking at the beginning of it. Yeah. Absolutely killed it.
Great presentation by Justin.
Wanted to do Facebook ads even more and then YouTube ads even more. Really, I could give a fuck about Facebook. But to me, it sounded like YouTube is still like Facebook was way back in the day.
Yeah, check out TubeSwift.
I feel like we have a closing window on that. I think you may have another year or two of that before it starts getting hammered down.
I think you're right.
Here's my thought process on all these platforms. And you're seeing it right now with TikTok. At the beginning, it's amazing for our advertisers and marketers because they need advertisers and marketers. So there's unsold ad space, and the people that are using it, get maximum reach. There's no algorithm changes. There's nothing that's causing, ads not to work like they say do on Facebook, where they're having trouble with the current day. And then over time, as the advertising space gets filled, then they, being the platform, get more selective. Also, all these platforms care about is keeping you happy and on that platform and glued to your phone. So if you have a negative customer experience, then you're not going to go back to that app, or you feel scammed, or whatever it may be. You don't get what you need, and as a result of that, you leave the platform. That's why these advertisers start getting more picky about the industries that you're allowed to advertise and the type of advertisements that you're able to do. So, TikTok right now, they're taking everybody, and everybody that's using TikTok is talking about how amazing it is. Then there'll be a glutton of marketers and companies that will move to that platform. They'll sell out the ad space. Then they'll tighten up the ad space. Then they'll tighten up and restrict the ads to take away from the mom and pop being able to be successful and go towards the big corporations. You see this every year on Facebook, the day after Black Friday. You can't even run an ad until January 1st, because that's where all the money's being spent by the huge major corporations. They come in, buy up all the ad space, all that great stuff like that.
Good point, Tim. Yeah.
Sometimes I pay attention, folks. It's not all, ribeye steaks and games here. So if you're thinking about starting with an advertising platform, I probably would skip Facebook altogether if you were just brand new, and I'd start with YouTube, and I'd use TubeSwift. No free shout-outs.
Yes. But, and he did have a lot of good points of how targeted it was. Because obviously, as we know, Google owns YouTube. And,
that was really crazy. It's like if you're searching for something, Google knows it. And if you're searching for a business or you're searching for a certain thing, Google knows that, and you can target your YouTube ads to only show to certain demographics. I mean, what you're able to do sounds like what you used to be able to do in Facebook before the whole Cambridge Analytics scandal.
Oh, right. Yep.
That's why you used to see those shirts that was like, I'm a Castleman and I love the United States.
Yeah.
And white women who like Girl Scout cookies and play golf. And you're like, that's oddly specific.
Yeah, how do they know that about me?
Yeah, well, apparently, same reason that YouTube knows that. And again, like you say, Google owns them both, and they're able to get that information. By the way, Google Analytics, great tool, right? Well, that's also how they know who and what your customers are, and that's how they can put their ads targeting your landing pages, your sign-in pages, things like that. Right. So not going to spill all the secrets. I really feel like Justin's presentation and the information he shared today was the best presentation.
I think so too.
Of the day in terms of actionable information.
I agree.
I put that on Sean Donahue yesterday in terms of actionable. Oh shit, this is great information. So shout out to my boy Justin, who is getting ready to go sail to Malta, where Chris Munch lives, and then fly back to the United States. So Chris Munch was supposed to be there at 11 a.m. He was fashionably late, more than fashionably late, I shall say. And him and his business partner, Jay Cruz, don't apparently own watches that let them know what time it is and that they should be there ahead of time. These guys are notorious for showing up late. And, it really rubbed me wrong today. I don't know why. Maybe it's my military training in me. Maybe it's just a respecting. But it's like, hey, if you're giving one of these speaking spots and you show up with no regard to the host or the audience there to listen to you, that's, to me, is super bullshit. I mean, just candidly, I think, and I like Chris and I like Jay. So no ill will towards them, but I thought that was a real shitty move on their part. And, I don't know. There may have been something that prevented Chris from showing up on time, but you'd be hard-pressed to tell me what that was. And he certainly didn't make it known that there was a fire or an emergency or whatever. True. And again, guys, we're not talking about, the guy showed up like 5 minutes late. I mean, I don't think he got done until 12:30. And he was supposed to be... Oh,
yes. I think he was supposed to start at 11.
Yeah, he was supposed to start at 11. And I think he started like 12, went for about a half an hour. And then, gave a good presentation. I like the information he shared. So again, I like those guys. I jokingly told Sue when I get back, I'm going to find the cheapest like Casio style watches and send it to them and be like,
clearly they need a
so
nice watch.
you guys know what time to be, or what to be on
Yeah.
time or when to be on time. So Chris gave his presentation, and then we did this really cool thing called social darts.
Yes.
This was very cool.
So cool.
Now they have this place called Flight Club.
Flight Club.
And unlike Fight Club, you do talk about it.
Yes.
And you go in there, okay, and imagine. I mean, how do you even imagine like a Dave and Buster's or like a main event or like an adult arcade, but all you can do is darts, competitive darts,
Yes.
and digital darts. So you throw them and it digitally registers and all that stuff.
Right.
And I'm not a darts player at all, but it was a freaking
I know.
blast.
I thought it was. I don't really play darts, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you have we had teams,
Yep.
and then do that, and it was great. And I will say for everything that I would say, hey, this was kind of concerning about the event, or this was off, or something, whatever it may be. The one thing I will say is that Shelly and Simon went all out. They made sure we all had drinks, made sure we all
was
got
great.
food, and took care of us amazingly well. And to me, that was probably the funnest thing I've done on the trip.
I think so
far.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was memorable, and I really appreciate them taking the time to
I do
that.
too, and I told him that. I said, "What a great lunch!" You
Yeah.
know, it was amazing.
Yeah, and I guess I'm glad I kind of brought that up because, when you're being inconvenienced or you feel inconvenienced or you're agitated, like I was with the Chris Munch thing, that's me and my perception. I don't know what happened that caused that. There may have been a real world issue. Maybe he doesn't want to talk about whatever it may be, So having empathy for others, I think is a good thing, and I try, especially when things I'm working very hard and trying to be empathetic and understanding of other people. And even though this event hasn't, some of the speakers have no-showed, some have showed up late, some question. I wouldn't even say questionable. It's just like, okay, what is happening here? Yeah. I mean, these guys have been doing these events for 10 years, and there's
is
things,
happening?
yeah, that I'm just like, well, guys, there's a lot of improvement that we could do there, But again, that's through my lens, and without any empathy. So I appreciate so much Simon and Shelly putting that together. Had the time of our lives. Was really great and really fun to do that. Funny story, which I'll save till the end of the day. But I met someone right before we went to social darts that made me feel about 1 foot tall. So we'll save that for the end. So we run back, right? And Edward Singatalera, I probably butcher that. We came back and he talked to, first of all, we came back from lunch. We opened the door to the gates of hell.
Pretty much, I would call it. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the gates of hell.
With
And by
fire
that I mean,
and brimstone.
Yeah, I mean,
and,
it was approximately 9,000 degrees. Yeah, because they have chandeliers in there and all the lights, and nobody thought, and that's okay because I wouldn't have thought and didn't think until afterwards to
true.
shut those lights off while we were gone to keep that area cool. Mm-hmm. So instead, we got to go in for the second half of the day to a sweat lodge and basically purify our sins from the night before while listening to people. I mean, Sue went out somehow.
I legit thought I was going to pass out. I had to go out, excuse myself. I went to the ladies' room, and here in lovely London, they don't have like paper towels. They have washcloths.
Yes, especially this place. The Reuben place definitely had washcloths.
So they have washcloths. So I grabbed one, I put it in the ice cold water, and I'm literally putting it on my face, the back of my neck.
You need to understand
I was very close to bringing it back to the room, and I'm like, no, they're going to look at me
This
funny,
morning, Sue got suited and booted, right? She's wearing beautiful shoes. She's dressed to the nines.
Yep.
She put makeup on, the faces you ladies call it, right? She
Yep.
did it all, and then it all had to come off for her survival.
I was like, I'm like, people are going to... was my face red? I felt like my face was beet red.
No, I never saw it red, but I mean, I'm sitting there sweating, doing nothing but breathing. And I don't know much, but I know when I'm sitting there breathing and I feel like there's sweat pouring down my back, that I'm either having a massive heart attack or stroke, which we didn't, or the room might be just a little warm.
And I did have, a couple of little, champagne glasses, which we forgot to borrow.
Oh, shit. Yeah, we were going to steal one of those. My bad.
But, so, it was
But
really
I was
hot.
hot as shit, and I had Coke the whole time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we were boozed up. It wasn't anything like that.
Yeah.
It just was warm. And again, that's just, That happens a ton at events. And that's why when you go to events, by the way, and it's 19 degrees there, because they know it's freezing fucking cold in the morning. And then in the afternoon, it'll warm up to where your fingers will thaw out and your body won't, be trembling, anything like that. So he talked about explainer videos. Gave a lot of great sales presentation.
I thought he was good.
Copy stuff, really good. And then today there was a little switcheroo, and we were supposed to have Ron Douglas. He'll be here tomorrow, which I'm excited about. And instead, Kevin Rogers came and gave.
He brought down the house. He was amazing.
Amazing presentation. Copy chief, no free shout outs, but copy chief, an amazing copywriter turned teacher. And I think people forget, and I've known Kevin long enough to, when he was writing for the biggest names in the industry. I mean, he had a $20,000 sales letter, and it was a 6-month wait to get it. It wasn't like, I'm going to pay you $20,000 right now. And it's like, nope, $20,000, and this is when we can fit you in, type thing.
Wow.
And he and his writing partner did that for many, many years, and he transitioned over teaching copy and has one of the largest copy communities that I know, especially paid copy communities.
Super impressive at the size of that community.
And one of the nicest dudes ever.
So nice.
He has such a great laugh, too.
He does.
When you tell a joke, he laughs as if it's the funniest thing ever. And I appreciate that about him so much. Just a gentle soul. A great guy.
And he told us that great story of that defining moment because he was a comedian and how he just said, "Okay, I'm going to stop." And I thought that was a great story.
Well, we had to talk about it, because Kevin and I both like comedy, and he's done it, and I've thought about doing it, but the life of a comedian fucking sucks. I mean, you're eating dick for 10 fucking years on the road, making nothing, driving 8 hours for a $150 gig, and you can do that when you're in your 20s, but if you don't hit off at a certain point, the road can grind on you really, really, really hard, or you just realize you're not in it. And he basically was doing a gig and somebody was like, is something off here? Something feels off, and it was the guy's nice way of saying, dude, you suck. And Kevin agreed that he sucked and basically had a free therapy session.
Talking to the audience. It was like an intervention. It was like, you know what? You're right.
Yeah, exactly. So it was very, very good. We were supposed to have Rich Sheffrin dial in today, but apparently there was a miscommunication or something like that. So he's going to hopefully, fingers crossed, dial in tomorrow. So that will be really great to have him come over virtually, and educate us and share with us and stuff like that. So we got to leave a little early today, which was nice. And then tonight we're going to go out on a boat, allegedly. We're going to get to take the London Underground for the first time for Sue. And first time for me.
With tube in it.
Yeah, the tube or however they refer to it. And then we're going to go on a boat, have some adult beverages, and then come back, get some rest, and knock out day number 3.
Indeed.
I'm curious, as your first time attendee here in person, what you have thought overall of the event.
I think it's pretty much what I thought it was going to be, although, again, a little disappointed. A couple of people, there were maybe, 3 people who I thought were going to speak. I think there's 3 people that we're not here for various reasons.
So our friend Justin Burns was going to get here, but apparently Fat Drake, as I lovingly refer to him as, is getting to become Skinny Drake and hired a personal trainer. And I told him not to fucking do that because exercise leads to injury. That's why I don't do it personally. And lo and behold, he hurt his back so bad that he can't even get on a plane right now.
We're really missing you, Justin.
Yeah.
Bummer.
He did tell me that currently he has to have sex in the laying down position too. So Justin, I'm sorry. T's and P's, thoughts and prayers for you, big guy. Yeah, little guy, medium guy, switching little guy. And then Rich Sheffrin wasn't able to make it in person here. So again, he's Skyping in remote. But yeah, events, like we talked on the previous podcast, events are what you make them, even in spite of the issues or, the snafus that happen with any live event and anything. I've still been able to make some great reconnections with people. That will hopefully lead to future business. And if not, just a continuation of the friendships. And that's ultimately why I came here. It's like, I don't need to sit and think about copy. I'm here to learn from people, and I'm here to, get to know the people I don't know and reinforce the relationships that I do have. And, we had a chance to chat with
your new friend from Croatia is dying for you to hit him up with your webinar. So
Yes. This sweet, sweet man
Very
has asked
nice.
every presenter if they have a webinar.
Yes.
And if they don't, he chastises them to get one so that he can promote them. And it's very, he's a very lovely gentleman who wants to talk to you approximately 3 inches from your face.
He's a close talker.
At all times.
Yes.
Yeah. Feel like you get a couple drinks in that guy. He's probably a hugger too. He's just like, I just love you and I want to hug up on you. So it's great. So speaking of meeting new people, the presenter that I mentioned with the explainer videos, Edward.
Oh, Edward, yes.
Yeah, and I can use his name.
He told me before too. He's like, I'm speaking. I hope we do a good. I could tell maybe he was nervous, and I'm like, oh, you're gonna be fine. I think he did a great job.
He had an AV crew with him, a guy taking video and photo.
Oh,
he had great slides.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did see that guy. I was like, wait a minute, he wasn't here yesterday.
Yeah, it was an awesome presentation.
Oh, good. Okay.
Before his presentation, before Social Darts, he comes up to me. He's like, "You're Tim Castleman." I was like, "Hey, man, nice to meet you." Now, I jokingly say this when someone goes, "Are you Tim Castleman?" I always go, "Why? Why are you asking?" Right? He didn't ask that. He knew who I was, and I was like, "Okay, great." He goes, "You probably don't remember me." Listen, these are all either or scenarios. These things are going to go one way. They're going to go, "You don't remember me, and here's the praise," or "You don't remember me, and here's my complaint." I will tell you this: when anyone comes up to you and says, "You probably don't remember me," it's going to be bad. You're in for a bad time.
Oh, dear.
Apparently, back in 2012, and I don't remember this because I've lived a life since then and, killed as many brain cells as possible. He had something going on. He was just getting started. There was a Warrior Plus launch of something like that. And apparently, according to him, I fucking took him to the woodshed on some type of thread, or basically I just complained or bitch. I don't know what I said because I forgot. But he was like, it totally crushed me.
Oh,
you
no.
took away all my momentum and what little reputation I had in the industry. And this, you got to think, okay, we're recording this in 2022. This was 10 years ago.
Wow.
This guy has held this.
He probably asked to be a speaker just so he could see you.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, Tim Castleman's coming? Yeah, I'd like to speak and I'd like to sponsor this fucking event if you could get me 5 minutes one-on-one in a dark room with that guy." And you know what? Hey, I love holding grudges too, so no,
I get it.
And it clearly hurt him. So here's what happens. He tells me that, and I was like, oh. And when he got done, I said, okay. I said, well, I don't remember that. I said, but I need you to understand something. I said, 2012, Tim, is a totally different person than the person that you're meeting today. And I just told him, I said, I lost everything in 2017, and I've changed who I am as a person as a result of that. And I told him this, and I'll be very honest with you. I think for a lot of time, especially when I first got started, total narcissist, felt like I had to be an egomaniac, and it was like, I'm going to bully, pulpit my way into this. My name is Tim motherfucking Castleman, and you're going to know it. I'm going to be the loudest, the brashest, the craziest, the wildest, whatever it may be. I'm going to be that guy in order to get your attention, to ultimately get your approval. Because I didn't like myself as a person, so I was looking for external validation. Not only that, but I felt like such a fucking imposter because things were going so well. I felt like I had to be the internet marketing police of like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that, right? Instead of just drawing a circle around my life and saying, fucking focus on that, do what you need to do that. I thought it was okay, and it was my role to pass judgment on others around me to make myself feel better about myself and to make sure that we all stayed in the pack. Don't get too far ahead, And you may see that if you ever do like a self-improvement journey and you lose people in your life, and it's like, well, okay, I tried to improve my health and now suddenly certain friends don't want to be friends with me, or they give me shit every time I don't want to go crazy and drink and eat like they used to.
Right.
So
I think that's very common.
And, I felt like shit. I really did. And here's the thing. I've had that conversation a few times with random people at events where they pull me aside and go, hey man, you wrote me a really shitty fucking email, or you replied to me in a real shitty way. Or, you did X, Y, and Z, and here is the negative effects that it had on me. And for this guy to hold that hold that for 10 fucking years and tell me, I hope that he gets a little bit of peace from it. You know, I jokingly said that he probably went right up to the room while we went to darts and beat off and was like, honey, I fucking told him. I looked him right in the eyes. And if he did, good for you. I hope it was the best sex and anger sex that you had, even if it was with yourself.
So what was his reaction? Did he understand where you were coming from, or was he still
it was
kind
all
of like
surface level? You
Okay.
know? I mean, he wasn't like, oh man, I totally understand. It was just kind of like, I want to let you. It was more informing, I think.
I see.
Than
Okay.
angry. You know, because if it had gone angry, it's like, well, dude, I know how to handle that. You know, we can. I mean, if you know, it's like,
Right.
Yeah, you want to get mad? Cool.
But he wanted to get it out and
Yeah.
tell you, and
Yeah.
then you know.
You know, and what it made me think of, and you know. I'm not the woo-woo person. That's Sue's job, right?
Yeah, I'm very woo-woo. Rhymes with Sue, too.
So much of what we do, how do I explain it? Like, life is negative enough without having someone like me trying to tear someone down. Now, this is a caveat because, I mean, this is how much it affected me. I was like, man, I want to write a big apology and basically be like, hey, if I was fucking like this before, please forgive me and give me a second chance to get to know me and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I still feel I didn't want to, and I didn't end up doing that, and I probably won't end up doing that because when you do something like that, then you're never allowed to go the other way again. Meaning that if I blow up on someone, they'll be like, whoa, you said you were all peace, love, and happiness. And it's hard to explain to people. It's like, yeah, I am, but that little gremlin is still inside of me. And every once in a while, that motherfucker gets out, you know, because I already knew whatever I wrote at the end of it, I was going to be like, you know, this applies to everyone except my ex-wife and Kevin O'Connor, and both of them can suck my ass, you know?
Right.
And then it's like, well, then it takes away the above flowery statements of like, well, listen, you know, so it's just.
And besides, people who know you, or they know what you're about now anyway. So I don't feel like you need to necessarily do that.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes, you know. So after my ex abandoned our marriage and I started dating, my last girlfriend, whenever there was a problem, instead of just fixing it, I felt like I had to fucking explain it to her about, hey, I acknowledge the problem, here's the problem, and here's the way I'm going to fix it. But I was like verbalizing it, you know?
Right.
And then eventually she was like, you don't have to break it down in like 3D every time, you know?
Yep.
But I felt like I needed to because I had said someone that I was married to for 7 years and together just fucking leave when we had problems, you know? So it was like, well, I don't want you to think I'm not working on them like my ex thought that I wasn't working on them. So a lot of times I think that's my default thing is like, hey, let me explain this to you. And it's very hard for me to realize like that the people that know me. And they don't need that explanation. Mm-hmm. They know who I am. And it's like, yeah, you know, and I did. I felt terrible I felt terrible I didn't remember what I said. So that makes it hard to justify or to explain or be like, hey, you know, like I could be apologizing to a guy who did some horrifically terrible shit. I don't know, you know. And I'm not saying he did. Let's be clear about that. I'm not going to go back and research, you know, we'll consider this matter dead after this recording. But it's just I don't know. It's just it's a fine line that I struggle with, and that I also struggle with when it comes to ego. In terms of, I try to intentionally beat my ego down because you know my initial response a few years ago would be like, "Well, who the fuck are you?" And I don't fucking care, and you know. So it's being steady and still and calm in a situation like that, and not reacting. Or not feeling like I have to have a response in terms of like, you know, the writing of all this shit and all that is very difficult for me. It's very difficult to just be like, you know, it's like, so, you know, I bag on Chris Munch for being late. Super upset that he was late. Really mad about it, actually. I was like, what the fuck? We go to the darts thing. He comes up to me. Tim, it is so good to see you. I hope you do. And you're like, well, now I feel like an ass, you know? You're like, oh shit, well don't, hopefully you weren't listening to my thoughts in my head 5 minutes ago when I was like, I'll kill that mother, you know? Like, so.
So when that guy came up to you and said that to you, was your first reaction, even in your head, to be like, well, you know, fuck you?
No.
Okay.
My reaction is always when someone confronts me like that is embarrassment.
I see.
Because like I didn't know that did that to him, that he said,
of
it
course
crushed my
not.
reputation,
Right.
and then you start thinking, well, what if that had happened to me at the beginning? It's like when
Yeah.
I started taking photos, they were dog shit. And I didn't know they were dog shit, and I would post them. And I wouldn't get the comments and the likes I do today, but I'd get some.
Right.
Somebody would be, tooting the horn, giving the thumbs up. You can do it, Tim,
Right.
And no one came to me and said, God damn, your photos are terrible. Are you blind? Did Steve,
Right.
So it's just one of those things that it was a good reminder, and I'm not saying I will be like this. Okay, we're not going to turn this thing into the woo-woo podcast. I'm going to start meditating and find my inner child and chi and shit. But it was a good reminder that we should strive, and by we, I mean I, should strive to be more positive and find things to build them up instead of tear them down.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that I could take Simon to task for this event. Instead, I'm trying to look at it and say, okay, yes, those were problems, but did I have a good time? Yes. Did they go out and be above and beyond? They put on a party last night.
Yep.
We're doing a ship tonight with
That's
open.
right.
So yeah, they may not have hit a home run here. There may be multiple things that I wouldn't do at my event or would run the event different. But I don't need to be that person to give that advice unsolicited.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And above all, what I need to do is focus on the great time that we had about the darts and the people that got to see, because ultimately that's what's going to be remembered long after, a speaker not showing up or being a little too warm in a room or, whatever it may be.
Yeah, or the weird shower that didn't work.
Yeah,
but does work
shower.
now.
Yeah.
Yay.
And all that shit is part of the journey and it's part of the story. And those are the
makes
things.
good podcast fodder,
Yeah, it gives us a reason to blab on the microphone. And I don't know, I'm not going to say it was a full circle day because it wasn't like that in terms of now I've come full circle. I mean, but it was nice to be like, oh yeah, man, hey, that was a different guy. Like that had nothing to do with you. That had me. Simon Green, I believe his last name's Greenhall. We got into it a couple of years ago over a matter that I don't even need to discuss publicly.
Right, yeah.
And fuck you, verbally, tear each other down, shit like that. 4 or 5 years later, I get a friend request from him. And I'm like, oh, fuck, here. Okay, round 2, here we go. And we click on it, and then he DMs me, and he's like, hey, mate, thanks for the friend acceptance. He goes, I just want to let you know, I wasn't mad at you. I didn't like myself back then. And it was just like...
Interesting.
Something that at the time was so visceral and so heat, and you were so angry, and how could you, blah, blah, blah. And then 5 years later, it's like, oh, man, I'm so sorry that you were going through, it just is a total different perspective on both parties. And that's what I told the guy today. It's like, man, that had nothing to do with you. Yeah. I mean, I think I even told him, I needed
to vent.
I needed fresh bait, and you were bait.
Yeah.
I was like, that's all you were, man. It had nothing to do with you. It had everything to do with my internal struggle, my internal self-confidence, my internal stuff.
I'm sure you made him feel better about your response, obviously. I mean,
And ultimately, if I didn't, that's okay. It's like, I'm not a 12-step or anything like that, but I know one of those steps are that you go to someone and you apologize for what you did wrong, and I think you might ask for their acceptance, but if they don't accept it, it doesn't invalidate the work that you've done.
Right.
There are some people, I don't think there's anything I could say to my ex-wife where we could ever be on a speaking terms or anything like that. If Kevin O'Connor and I, there will never be a reconciliation. You will have people in your life that just for whatever reason, never the two paths shall meet, hopefully,
Right.
And that's okay. As long as you've done the work to address the issues that you felt may have been brought up by those situations. So yeah, it was it's always uncomfortable hearing that stuff, but it was like you got to own it. That's the thing. I'm more than happy. It's when someone's ever brought that shit up to me, I've never once been like, what are you talking about? It's always like, all right, man, I'll fucking own it. And if I feel like I need to apologize, I'll definitely apologize.
So how many times has that happened to you?
Oh, shit.
Just out of curiosity.
This was probably the third event I've had somebody come up and say
Really,
that.
huh?
Yeah, one was at funnel hacking.
Okay.
Because the guy wanted to cancel his membership, and I was like, if you're not doing $1 million a year, you should be fucking learning from me. And I was just real shitty about it. And, you know, part of me still believes that. And I was like, oh, man, I feel bad about that. But, you know, he was obviously upset about it, you know. But then, like, early in my speaking career, I got invited to an event put on by Brian Anderson and Mario Brown. It was an offline marketing event. I was doing online. I was doing fax surveys to people and all this stuff, and they asked me to come speak about it. So I've got a presentation like everybody does. They have AV equipment there. It's not working. Mario's wife is there. She's, I believe, a dental hygienist at the time, and she's trying to help the business. And they're newly married, and I think they were like practically on their fucking honeymoon, newly married. Well, imagine a big ass conference room. I'm standing in the middle of it. The light on the projector's off. I can't get the fucking thing to go on. And imagine 50 feet to my left is Mario Brown's wife, who proceeds at 50 feet to get on her hands and knees and crawl while I'm trying to give this presentation to work on the projector.
Okay.
Right? The second she does that, all eyeballs go off me and to her because they want to know why this woman is crawling on the ground to do that. And then to make matters worse, she's like popping up, you know, that the whack-a-mole game, you know, she's like popping up, like, whoop, whoop, up, down, right? And I'm like, what, you know, and it's clear to me because I can read the room. No one is paying attention to me. I could have been standing naked up there. Nobody would have seen it at all because they were paying attention to what this lovely lady was doing, right? So I don't know where I learned this. Probably, you know, because I'm such a fan of comedy and stuff. Like, you have to address the elephant in the room, or in this case, the mole in the room. And I'm like, you know, so I make several improper jokes, right? I'm like, what are you doing? You just got married. Do you have any idea what this looks like? You know, at an angle, it could look like a sexual position. You know, laughs in the room. I laugh. I have a great time. Never get invited back to speak there again, right? And then I leave, and as I'm leaving, I hear Mario Brown be like, that Tim Castleman fella, what an asshole, eh? You know, and I'm like, oh shit. So I go crawl into some like cubby at a bar. I remember I was sitting at the bar and I was just kind of going over my notes and being like, well, probably not getting invited back here. You know, don't think the customer comment cards are going to be amazing. I remember asking them at the end, I was like, all right, you guys, how many of y'all are going to do this? And nobody said shit. And I was like, hey, thanks for wasting my time. I appreciate it. You know, like, and this guy comes up to me. And he's like, hey, Tim. And I was like, yeah. He goes, can I talk to you for a second? I'm thinking like, okay, please don't be from Texas. Please don't be like one of those, you know, you patronized a woman back there and you don't do that, you know, and blah, blah. I was just like, okay, I'm either about to get fucking praised or punched in the face. And I don't remember this gentleman's name. And if you ever hear this, sir, please reach out. I'll give you anything and everything free for life forever. He told me, he said, my wife has stage 4 cancer. I don't know what type of cancer it is. And he's like, we haven't laughed since the diagnosis. And he goes, and we're going on 2 years of this shit. And he goes, drained, you know, he's telling me all the things like that. And I was like, you know, like, oh, okay, I'm not a cancer doc, but okay. I'm like, okay, listening. And he's like, I called her and told her about the presentation and the joke that you played with Mario's wife. And she burst out laughing. And he said, that's the first time I've heard my wife laugh.
Aw, really? I never heard that story.
I'm getting fucking teary here. Jesus, sorry, guys. He was like, that's the first time I heard her laugh in 2 years. And I told Brian Anderson, and I tell him that every time. I'm like, I would have, Mario Brown could have came out and kicked the shit out of me right then.
Right.
It would have been totally worth it because you never know who you're going to impact.
Wow.
I had no idea the statement that I made to that guy in 2012 had such a lasting impact that he had to carry it for 10 years. I apologize to him. I apologize to anybody that I unintentionally wronged, you know, and I hope if I did that to you, that you would come up and tell me your story and give me a chance to explain my side if I remember it. And if not, the chance to just apologize and say, I'm sorry for that person that I was back in the day because I didn't like that guy. You didn't like him. Well, I certainly didn't fucking like him. And when I look back at it now, I'm so ashamed of who I was as that person in terms of that I didn't have the tools that I have today. And that's the hard part about therapy is you judge past situations with these new tools. Mm-hmm. So you look at all the lack. But what therapists say, and this is another woo-woo thing that I fucking hate, but I totally believe now, the more I say and think about it, is everyone is doing the best they can with the tools they have. Yes. And I didn't have the tools I have in 2022 and 2012. Right. I was running a survival program, learn from childhood, and the other thing is, I was successful. So it wasn't like the world was telling me that I was doing it wrong. And if it did tell me that I was doing it wrong, I was so concerned about me, right? As Kanye says, you know, fuck your pussy, I'm on my own dick. Like, I was so big on myself and puffing myself and puffing my chest up and, you know, you're the greatest, you're the greatest, you're the greatest. I wouldn't have heard it like I heard that gentleman's story today.
Right. I agree. I know. I wish I could be more, you know, insightful, but I think you nailed it on the head, though.
It's just life, man.
Yeah.
And, you know, and
that was 10 years ago. You're a totally different person.
Right.
And, you know.
And we all, hopefully, we all are.
Right.
And, you know, I'm not one of those people like, I want to die with no regrets. I'm going to have plenty of regrets. But hopefully, one that I won't be in my later life is embarrassed or regretful as who I am as a person. And, you know, and the flip side of that is years of self-deprecation and, you know, beating myself up over and over and over. Now I'm trying to appreciate who I am as a person, as me, and who I really am, and accept that and be okay with it. And when people praise or, you know, think, man, okay, or say nice things about you, you know, don't let them go to your head, but also don't just instantly find a way to dismiss it, because I think that's a life of misery and ill content. And I would hate to have spent the time, energy, and money that I have improving myself and not be able to love myself, because I truly believe, you know, again, another woo-woo statement here. Don't worry, guys. I'm probably getting my period tomorrow. That's why I'm getting so emotional. You know, is like, you can't love somebody if you don't love yourself first, you know, and honest love and truthful love, not just narcissistic, you know, my shit doesn't stink and I'm perfect and I'm God's gift to everyone type love.
Yeah, after this, we're going to go look in that mirror and say, I love you to yourself.
That's right, yeah. I'll take my shirt off. And,
yes.
I'm actually reading
I want you to say, I love you, Tim.
I love myself. I love my belly. I love my you know, like I love every single part of me. So, you know, if you're going through some shit and you listen to this, hopefully it's a little reprieve. We try to keep these things light and fun, you know, and I would just say, if you notice repeating patterns in your life, whatever they may be, good, bad, or indifferent, and you want to change them, and you don't seem like you can change them on your own, or you've tried multiple times and you haven't been able to change them, there's nothing wrong with you. It just means you need a few more tools. You need a different plan, you need a different tool set, or there's shit that's probably going on in your life that you're not even aware of that's impacting how this ultimately works out, whether that's sabotage, you know, low self-esteem, all these things. It's okay to talk to someone, especially a licensed therapist. And my greatest goal for anybody in life is to talk to a therapist, figure some shit out if you got to work on some stuff, and, you know, maybe undo some of the harm that is and trauma that has occurred in your life so that you can have a different result going forward. Because I would still hate to be that man that I was in 2012. Because if I was still that person, my relationships would all follow the same path that they have in the past. And it's just like Groundhog's Day, except it's the worst day ever. And if you know, if you don't address that shit, it's not going to change on itself. Putting your head in the sand doesn't change it. You know, you got to do the work. And as much as I love being an internet marketer and push button riches and gajillions of dollars, you know, flooding your inbox every day, you still got to get up and carry the water each and every day, whether you want to or not.
That's a great analogy.
So there you go, guys.
Yeah.
This is Oprah Winfrey signing off. Dr. Phil / Oprah Winfrey / Dr. Oz / whoever your metaphysical healer is of the time, Russell Brand, whatever it may be. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll do another wrap-up podcast tomorrow with our third and final day.
Day 3.
Super excited to hear from Rich Sheffron, Ron Douglas, so many other speakers, and hopefully tonight we get to take the tube for the first time.
It's going to be a gay and festive time.
Yes, and
shout
we're
out
going to get
Uncle
to
Bob.
go on a boat, which
A
is
boat.
something Sue wanted to do to see the site.
As soon as I heard the word boat, you know me, Tim. I'm like, we're getting on that boat.
Did I not text you and say,
you did.
I already know that we're doing this.
Yes.
You don't have to be like, are we doing this? Like, she said boat, we're definitely doing it. So
we have to go.
thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next time.